Hello guys, and I understand that last weekend we had a wonderful game for the Gusii community, for the entire Nyanza region that was big in many ways, and that was Shabana FC playing host to Kibera Black Stars at Gusii Stadium, a match that was scheduled to begin at 2 p.m. but because of the many logistics that were involved in the game and the heightened pressure, the match began an hour later at 3 p.m. But of course, there are those who've been asking what were the intrigues beyond the successful game that for the first time was full to the capacity, or rather full beyond capacity, whereby a total of more than 15,000 spectators came to the Gusii Stadium to watch this wonderful game. And there are those who may be asking what made this game to be that much successful, especially in the match attendance. And at least I'll give you a few intrigues into the match. And first and foremost, there was an elaborate marketing in that game. The poster was made early, and there had been series of online campaigns over the game that was pitting Shabana FC, that was to play Kibera Black Stars at the National Super League. We saw a number of media personalities in Kenya endorse the game on their social media platforms, and already that one laid fodder to many spectators wishing to come into this game that was much hyped. Secondly, of course, there was the attendance of Raila Odinga. It was a game that had been planned, and it even caught the attention of the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, who opted to come into this game and be able to watch it. And just by the presence of Raila Odinga to a game that was already much hyped, much popularized on the social media platforms, we expected more people to come. But I'll be going back to how Raila's coming to the game led to many logistics coming into the game, even beyond what the Shabana management had thought prior as they were planning to the game. And thirdly, part of the thing that made them game to have many spectators coming into the game, there was that notion that there was tension that was to happen in the game, and maybe chaos could have erupted. And this was pretty because Kibera Black Stars, the last time it hosted Shabana FC, when it was the first leg of this National Super League edition, first and foremost, it was Kibera Black Stars that spoiled the unbeaten run of Shabana FC after they beat Shabana FC 1-0 in Nairobi when they hosted them. But this was not enough to spur up a rivalry between these two sides. The Shabana fans in that game that was hosted in Nairobi were injured by the Kibera Black Stars fans. There was that clamor for revenge by some section of fans of the Shabana FC. And of course, that one alone, of course, we know what tension does. It makes more people to come and see, will it happen or it won't? Also, that one had laid fodder for the game having much interest from many spectators. After Shabana lost to Kibera Black Stars in the first leg, Kibera Black Stars' next assignment was to be hosted by Gusii FC at Gusii Stadium. And of course, still there was commotion because the Gusii region has a dominance of the Shabana fans. There was some bit of commotion, but it was not that sense. It was calmed down, and of course, people expected also this to happen. And when you look on all these factors, then the management of Shabana FC had to be on the drawing board. Why? Because if in the match chaos could have erupted, Shabana management could have been answerable to it, and of course they could not want such a bad negative image of Shabana as one of the most successful improved brands in Kenya, especially in the sports sector, to have a tainted image whereby the Shabana fans attacked rival players or rival fans. That one, the management was really fighting up and down to ensure that any chance of commotion happening in the game could have been contained, and we saw a series of communications by the management urging the fans to be tolerant, to remind them that the qualification was at stake, and therefore also this made this game to have lots of pressure, especially in the logistics onto this game. And secondly, the Shabana management was keen for this game not having chaos, because the game, of course, with or without Raila coming to the match, was to have many fans, only that Raila escalated or became a catalyst driven more coming in the game. There were many fans who were to come. And remember, if it happened that in this game that fans could have thronged into the field, let's say if Shabana had scored, already it could have led to some legal suits in the Sports Dispute Tribunal or the FKF officials, at least for Shabana even to be deducted points if this could have happened. And therefore management was very vigilant not to risk such a chance when they had a chance of comfortably winning on the home grounds. And also this heightened the pressure into the game. But now let's go now into the intrigues of the game. The game was to begin at 2 p.m. but unfortunately or fortunately enough, the game began an hour later. Why? First and foremost, Raila Odinga had delayed coming into the game. By 2 p.m., Raila had not arrived in the field. But we saw some few minutes after 2 p.m., the governor of Gusii, was the host to Raila Odinga, that's Paul Simba Arati, arrived in the stadium and made the signs clear that the former Prime Minister and the Azimio leader could have been in the match. And of course, the game had to delay because Raila's arrival itself has the commotion that comes with his arrival. Therefore, the game could not have begun then Raila to arrive. And thank God the law allows for some adjustment of the kickoff games for some allowance of minutes. And this is what the Shabana, the Kibera Black Stars and the FKF explored in delaying the game by beginning 1 hour later. And that was the first insight. The second thing that made the game to delay by 1 hour was because there were more and more fans who were coming in the game. And in such a high-stake game, what was best for the game was it beginning when at least 3/4 of the audience that were to come to the game had settled on their seats. And therefore, with this again, the match could not have begun unless there was still commotion on the entrance seats. And therefore, that's why it took close to 1 more hour for all the fans to settle. And still, it seemed the hour was still not enough. And that also made the game to delay a bit. And also part of the deeper insights in the game was that this game, it really made Shabana to organize and coordinate this game like it has never coordinated before. Why? Number one, the stadium was to be maximum to the capacity, which has not happened in this season and in a very long time when Shabana FC has been playing in the Gusii Stadium. And therefore, this called for more stewards in the game. And the role of these stewards, number one, was to control the entry points, number one, to control the numbers, and still ensure that there is security in the game because there were high-stake visitors who were to come to the game. And just to mention, part of the visitors who were present was the governor, of course, the host, who is Paul Simba Arati. We had a host of MCS from the Gusii County Assembly. We had a number of MPs. Among them, we had Engineer Obadia Barongo, who is the MP for Bumachoge Borabu constituency. We had Irene Mayaka, who is a nominated senator from Nyamira. We had the senator, who is Timothy Bosire, who is one of the politicians from Nyamira. And therefore, already we had high-profile guests in the game. And therefore, security had to be beefed up. And this called for cooperation between the Shabana management security system, the stewards, and even county security teams also, and with reinforcement from local police officers. And it was not that easy. For instance, we saw as all the stands of the Gusii Stadium were full to the capacity, we saw that there were some fans again who broke into the stadium by force, because all the seats were full and only now the VIP protected area was only available, and they outpowered the police officers, and we saw them coming into the game. And therefore still this one became part of the difficult aspects in the match. However, when everything was settled, all the dust had settled, we saw the match beginning, and for the Shabana players, the game outgrew itself. It outgrew the expectations. That even at one time during the training, during the match, the Shabana players could even be stranded because the numbers were so many, and we saw them playing under tension, which made them even to lose some clear-cut chances because they were not controlled. And you remember, in football, you must have the composure for you to be able to score that goal comfortably. And it was an interesting experience. I know there were lessons that were recorded strongly by the Shabana FC management, because as it stands, next season they will be playing in the FKF Premier League, God willing. And if they'll play in the FKF Premier League, there'll be more competitors who will attract more spectators into the game. Teams like Gor Mahia FC, teams like AFC Leopards, Sofapaka, when they'll be coming to Gusii Stadium, we'll be seeing such high numbers coming. And therefore the lessons that came in terms of the crowd management, spectator management, the ticket selling, the marketing of the games, the collection of the game, the handling of high profile guests in the game, all those calls for the Shabana management to go to the drawing board and ensure that the house is in order, so that when they'll be in the FKF Premier League, all the lessons they learned from the game that was an eye-opener to them will be well captured. But thank God, in the game, Shabana FC, despite the match pressure, won the game on 1-0, had a sweet revenge on the Kibera Black Stars, and the fans had a reason to celebrate. This is the Gusii Sports TV. I'm your presenter, Ndemo Steven, Captain 001. Ensure that you have subscribed to the channel for such detailed analysis and overview of the sporting events within the Gusii region. See you next time.